some of the stuff we're going to cover today is going to be similar to what we did in Boston. How many of you guys if you just post in the chat, were you a part of our session that we did at the On the Road event? If you were there, that's great. But if you weren't, this will be some of the stuff that we covered, but also we're going to go a bit deeper into the strategic partner. And hopefully today we can do a lot more like interactive, answer some questions. Big thing that we're into is how do we, a lot of this stuff is good in theory in terms of processes and strategies and going out to market, finding new clients, asking questions, conversations, but it really is coming to implementation. So the more you can get specific today about the stuff that you're trying to solve and the things that you're trying to go after, the types of clients, the types of offers, the network you're trying to build, the more we can get so we can dive into it. We're hoping to do maybe about 20 minutes or so of the stuff that we've got, but we can also go back and forth. We can dive into questions at any time and really go deeper depending on how this goes. We want this to be fun and kind of not just, show and tell. So you guys cool with that? Cool. No, Kendall's not cool, but so yeah, my name is Joe, and my role primarily, my business is I'm a sales coach, and so I work with Kendall and the International Succession Planning Association on the go-to-market strategies and how to go after clients and how to build the processes. And what we've done is built a lot of resources and tools to help our members to be able to go to market, be able to build offers, be able to build sales language, marketing, communication, all that kind of stuff. And I'll pass over to Kendall to do her intro.
Hi, nice to meet you, everyone, via Zoom. Thank you for coming. And I'm Kendall Rawls. I'm with the International Succession Planning Association. And just a quick purpose and background of the association. We're committed, and our goal is to create or provide you guys tools, education, implementation strategy to take your advisory practice to the next level, essentially providing you a step-by-step implementation guide that's been proven to help you grow your book of clients, create deeper relationships, be able to facilitate more, and really position yourself as that go-to advisor, whether that is within your core service or you're the go-to person to help facilitate any need that they have. So that's a very brief background of the ISPA, and I'm going to pitch it back to Joe.
Cool, and I'm just going to put in the chat on your biz. So yeah, if you can post in the chat, give me an idea, sort of where you guys are located, what your business is, who you are, where you're from. That kind of helps us provide some context. And also, as we're going along, if you want, ask for clarity, ask for clarification, ask for specifics for your industry, for your role, so we can provide that value for you. Let's click on this and get rolling. Today,
yeah. And one more thing to put in there. Your goals. Why did you join us? It doesn't have to be a ton, but what are you hoping to learn?
Absolutely. Because let's have some fun, guys. Today, we're going to be talking about really client retention and acquisition. What we found is, especially when we were in Boston, is the discussion around, there's so many different clients out there, so many different businesses, you're competing in markets, and people don't want to be sold to, they like to buy, and we want to get creative about what we're creating. So and I screwed up this slide. That's okay. This is supposed to be diversify your service. I got crazy with the copy and paste. Diversify your offerings and expand your strategic network. That's what we're going to be talking about, so you can help us with that. This is an overview of the succession matrix. Kendall's going to walk us through this. This is her baby. This is what we talk about. And this is going to be sort of the core foundation of the stuff that we talk about as we think about offers and we think about our network.
Yeah, absolutely. While I'm doing this, Joe, can you put it on presentation mode or just make the actual slide a little bit bigger?
What? What do you mean?
It's currently showing like all the formatting stuff, like format background. So maybe.
Oh, my wrong. You know what? What if I did this and I shared the right screen?
That'd be amazing.
Yes.
As we said, it's early on the side.
This?
Yeah, there we go.
Guys, look at us solving problems.
Yeah, so the succession matrix is a core advisory philosophy. As you look at this, these are key factors that impact business valuation, business success, business foundation, and essentially at the very top, owner motivation and perspective, that's the why. That's essentially when we talk about why people do what they do. It's not the action, but it's that motivation behind it. And so owner motivation and perspective is at the top, because it's so critical to understand that and be able to tap into that with your clients, because it's going to influence all of their decisions. It influences how they interact with the business, how they interact with their family, especially if it's a family-owned business, how they view their employees. And as you see in the middle, which is how I just described it, there's all these lines connecting each area of the matrix because each one impacts the other. And as a business advisor, if you're able to understand these 10 factors impacting your business, your client's goals, you become a incredible, I'm missing the word right now, essentially indispensable team member on their advisory team. Because oftentimes as an advisor, they may come to you if you're an attorney to write up a legal document or litigate a certain issue or help facilitate some sort of tax strategy. Or if you're a CPA or something like that, they're coming to you for a tax thing. However, each area of this matrix influences what they're wanting you or asking you to do. And above and beyond that, by you understanding what each one of these are, how it impacts the business and how it impacts their goals, you're then able to dig even deeper, because someone may be coming to you, for example, saying they have a knee problem and they're wanting you to just address the knee. But the more that you understand these interrelated areas, the more you can dig deeper and say, you know what, this isn't a knee problem. I'm not going to treat your knee. This is actually a hip problem or a posture problem that is creating the knee problem. And that's what our clients and business owners want, is not just to solve that immediate problem, but be able to have the expertise and the ability to dig deeper to really diagnose what is the core issue for you then to be able to facilitate it.
Yeah, and one of the things I love when I learned about the succession matrix is that it was done through a long study of business fundamentals and pretty much all the areas of business that you need to cover. So it's not unique to succession planning, but typically, somebody's how many of you guys would agree that, somebody's going to come to you with something that they think they want to talk about this, but the more you uncover the challenges, you find out what they really need. You guys would agree with that sometimes? So the goal of this is to say, yes, you might be coming at it from this lens, but there's so many interconnected pieces. Sometimes we're trying to solve this thing today, but it could be affected by something else that's happening. So the interconnected pieces of the matrix really is powerful when we start thinking about our business. And as we start thinking about our service offerings today, how to be able to expand our reach, how to get more clients, how to be able to build offers, build our network. I want you to think about, is there, where do you guys currently exist in this matrix? You don't have to solve all of this stuff, but the more you can understand the complexity, the cause and effect, the interconnectedness, the impact in somebody's business and your clients, the more you start to go, I wasn't thinking about that. Let me ask you some questions. A big part of what our members do, succession planners do, we have a tool called the Succession Planning Assessment. It's a really robust, in-depth evaluation tool that you take somebody through. And it's really coming at it from a place of non-bias, non-judgment, to say, let's explore your whole business, because once we've looked at it as a complete system, then we could say, where do we want to start? But a lot of times people get, especially in service professionals, we get siloed in our offers. So I do this, you do this, and we start to treat all of these as unique problems, but they all are cause and effect interconnected. So let's look at this. When we look at our customers, this is what I always think about here. We're going to go here. We want to really truly understand them. Understand what keeps them up at night. I always think, these guys, your customers are dealing with stuff. We want to be able to ask good questions. One of the things I do a lot in sales training and any training is really getting into questions, really trying to figure out what happens in their world. We want to look at, how do we, what do we need to be able to do to effectively serve them? Sometimes, would you guys agree? Sometimes you need to be a coach. Sometimes you need to be a consultant. Sometimes you need to be a therapist, right? A best friend. Sometimes you need to be, an ultimate resource. You need to be a partner. There's lots of things we need to do to help them solve these problems, and really understanding what success means to them. We might have a preconceived idea of what we think their business could do or what they could do, but sometimes our goals, sometimes it might be to maintain consistency. We don't want more things to do. We don't want to grow our business. We don't want to expand our teams. Understanding those motivations from the owner side and from their team side helps us understand which directions we can help them, and then communicating in ways that best work for them. A lot of times, we can change up the way we say things, where we do things. Having, we can do face-to-face meetings, we do virtual meetings, we can do, email, text, all that kind of stuff, and then knowing where and when we can push. The big thing, I was looking for some books earlier. This is a good one here. Insight Selling, and I have another one. This one, if you guys have heard of Challenger Sale and Challenger Customer, Challenger Sale is a really good book. It came out, I think 2012, and it did research on the best profiles that helped people sell. And the old school way of relationship selling, that wasn't working. What they found is they did profiles, the old school relationship style, like the consultant style, going for lunch and, being their best friend. That was starting to not work because people don't have time. The Challenger profile, which is being willing to create constructive tension and solve problems, be willing to push and provide insights that make your customers think, even to the point where you might make them uncomfortable, where they're not really happy about what you're telling them. But the more we actually tell them the truth and help them solve problems, provide insights, we build our relationships as a byproduct of that. So we really want to look at, how are you bringing those insights? How are you bringing this offer? How are you bringing your skill set to help them solve problems? I know they want this, but what do they really need, right? You guys would agree with that?
Yeah, Joe, what were those book titles? I'm gonna put them in the chat real
So
fast.
Challenger Sale. I'll throw a ton of books at you. Challenger Sale, and then they come up with this one, which is Challenger Customer. The Challenger Customer is a follow-up, and that talks about really in organizations when you're doing complex selling, especially with big teams, companies, you're usually selling to 5.4 people on average on a team. So your goal isn't to convince them to agree on you. They need you. Your goal is to help them understand that they all agree on the same problem. And so a lot of times is that they don't, like, as a team, if you're getting a bunch of people in a meeting, it's not about selling them individually, but getting them to all understand what are we really talking about. So this is where, being able to ask questions, being able to bring your skills. So before you create that offer and go in and say, here's what I can help you with, we really want to know, do they all agree on what they want help with?
Absolutely, and that's huge in family business environments, privately business environments where there's multiple partners involved. In order to get hired, you have to get them to at least agree that they have a similar problem. Otherwise, they're going to be looking at, no, we need this sort of professional, we need this sort of professional. So if you're able to align at least that, what that problem is, or that they agree that there is a problem, then you have a better chance to develop the relationship and develop that client.
Yeah, and I also realized as I was going through stuff how old I am. I found this. DVD,
Oh my
being
God.
able to do email in the workplace. So if you guys ever need a DVD, I don't have anything that can play DVDs anymore, so it's all yours. I'll give you an
Do you want to just
example.
go play frisbee with it?
What's that?
Just go play frisbee with it.
Right, totally. I'll give you an example is, Kendall, they referred me a client because they're working on an area in their succession planning. They needed some help before they could go and solve the succession planning side of it, the long-term planning of the team and the family, is they needed to figure out revenue. They needed to make sales a going concern, so that wasn't an issue for them anymore. So that's when I came in and said, I can help you guys build, a go-to-market strategy. I can help you build a sales program. And even going into that, the owner says, we want a comp plan that looks like this. But as you dive in, we go, actually, that's not, I know that's what you want, but what you really need is to restructure your organizational goals so you build a sales team that builds on that. So it's really about, like, as we're talking today, Kendall and I are in a strategic partner network. And as well, we're working on these skills to understand, how do we really help our customers understand what they need? And as a team, we have the ability to use our different perspectives and lenses. And we're looking at, cool. All right. So Kendall's gonna talk about flywheel. This is her favorite slide because she put the arrows on it.
Yeah, so going back to what I shared about the matrix before, as you are approaching any sort of advisory relationship, whether it's at the very point of maybe thought leadership, because you're wanting to put out information in the marketplace to position yourself and differentiate yourself, all the way to the next step of the first initial phone call, your ability to talk wide. And what I would even say, instead of saying talk, but ask questions, that going back to spin selling, I'm not, however, many of you guys are familiar with spin selling, but there's the needs payoff and Joe, help me out with that word, implication.
It's situation, it's problem, implication, and need payoff.
Implication. Yeah, wow, I cannot get that word out. Your ability within, especially those needs payoff and implication questions, to connect the dots. Hey, okay, we're talking about a business agreement. Tell me about your relationship with your siblings. Tell me about your relationships with their kids. Tell me about your relationship with your parents. And if your parents run around, for example, how do you think that would change your relationship with your siblings and their kids from a business perspective, especially if they're, if it's a wealth planning with an ultra high net worth family, or if it's a family business environment. Really going deep into all those dynamics will help position you to, one, create the most sophisticated business agreement, but you're also then creating an opportunity, a flywheel of opportunity. That if you're wanting to position yourself more in a place to perhaps mitigate or consult around family dynamics and governance, or help them identify and develop successor curriculums, the more you know, the more you're able to then create the strategy around and identify the needs of and the gap between where they are and where they want to go. And firms that have different teams, for example, you may have a lot of CPA firms right now have CFO services, technology, cybersecurity, audit, tax. By positioning your conversation from thought leadership marketing to business development questions and this holistic standpoint, you're setting up your entire firm or your teams for seamless upsell and cross-sell opportunities. And so this flywheel, approaching any sort of conversation with from the prospecting stage, even a deep client, of really understanding what are all the issues impacting the business owner's goal, creates this flywheel of opportunity. It just continues to, from a consulting perspective, create additional work, additional trust, and then also from the standpoint of creating flywheel of opportunity with strategic partners.
Yeah. You bet. I'm making some notes here. I'm trying to let you guys know as we go along, anywhere you guys want us to dive deeper, absolutely we can. We've got lots of examples and specific to your cases. Here's something I always I talk to people about. I write these numbers down: 3, 7, 30, 30, 30. When I think about what's going on in the market, I always think right now, if I'm going to go out, if I was in a room of 1,000 people right now, 3% of those people are active. So let's say I want to go and draw a picture. If I'm out going, okay, I want to draw a picture and I'm looking for how to be able to get some pens to draw this picture. I'm pretty sure what I want. And I'm seeing if you guys have the pens that I need. So I might fill out a lead form. I might call you, might say, hey, do you have this thing? How much is it? I'm ready to buy this thing, right? And if I go, okay, this is the other market is 7%, I'm open. I'm looking to draw a picture. I'm exploring what kind of pens are there. I'm considering different implements I might use. Maybe could you send me your brochure, your catalog, stuff that you have so I can see what I need to buy from you. So I'm out here and I still might be able to fill out a form. I still might call you. But the next group is I'm aware that I am interested in a hobby or something that I want to do. I think it's drawing. I think it's art. I think it's something I need to explore all these different areas to get my creative juices flowing. So could you look at this kind of stuff? I may or may not reach out to you, but I'm in that research phase. The next 30%, I'm not even aware that drawing or art is the thing I want to do. I just know that whatever I'm doing today sucks. So I'm out there figuring out what kinds of hobbies should I do? What can I do other than the thing I'm doing? And also there's another 30% that's just not really interested in doing anything different. They're all going to do what they're doing. Most of the time in our business, we're spending our time selling to that 3 to 10% at the top. We're waiting for the customers to come to us when they need something. And this is where we just get caught in, being, selling in competition, selling on price. And that if we look at the lower 60 to 67%, this is where there's an opportunity in all of your markets to have more non-competitive deals, increase your conversions, have higher dollars per sale. There's a great market where people aren't even looking at you or your competition, but the way that you position, the way that you have conversations makes them go, this is what I'm looking for. They go, because they go, I wasn't thinking like that. This is where the power of like insights, strategic, like strategy sessions. This is what's important. I have a big client. They sell like really complex engineering tools and like supply chain. And we're working very hard for them to be more organizational selling, enterprise selling. And the biggest thing we're doing is helping them understand how to set strategy sessions, insight sessions, review stuff with their clients and not lead with products. We want to lead our customers to our offer, not with our offer. So the more you understand how to go after your market in a place where you're talking about the things that they're dealing with, not the offer that you have, the more opportunities that you'll create that weren't existing before. Does that make sense, guys? Somewhat?
How about some, if it makes sense, give us some thumbs up in the chat.
Cool. talk about this as well. Again, when you're talking to your customer, like you guys are out, I'm assuming with a service as a service provider, you're having conversations all the time with your customers. So I always think about it this way: we have one is a pre-existing need. So the customer says, "Hey, this is what I need help with." And we go, "Okay, I can solve that." But what you want to be looking at is this created need. So as you're talking, you say, well, this, what you're talking about, is also connected to this. So maybe we should explore those two things together. And if you go back to the succession matrix, you can see, hey, maybe we're here, but also this. But where you get really powerful and be able to influence and be able to identify opportunities and be able to expand, 10 times types of revenue is anticipated need. We're going to look at, I know we're looking at this area, but what about this over here? Have you even thought about that? What are you guys doing on this side of it? And they go, I wasn't thinking about that at all. Well, what if we looked at this, this, and this, and you show how pieces are connected? Now your value isn't your offer. Your value is your thought process. And if you are helping your customer and your client be able to say, before we start deciding, because a lot of times customers are 60% of the way through the buying process before they engage us. So they're coming to the point saying, I need this thing. We want to have them talk to us while they're thinking about, what am I even exploring? What are my challenges? So are you part of that boardroom discussion on the C-suite, talking to them before they're ready to buy? And Adrian, you've got your hand up, so I want to answer your question there.
Thanks, Joe. While you're on this topic, can you talk a bit more about leading to the offer versus leading with the offer in two contexts, whether it's written and it's not directly personal with a prospective client, and when it's in a meeting with a client when you've already got a relationship going? Thank you.
Sure. Well, what's your business, first of all? I can be specific.
Our business is advising companies on how to comply, advising businesses on how to comply with packaging regulation.
Okay.
And some of these businesses know that they need this, and some don't really know what's going on, and so they don't know to the extent or how they might need us.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Usually what I look at is, give me like two questions that your customers typically ask you.
Are we impacted by these regulations, and how much do we need to pay?
How much? Now, the next question, what are questions that they're not asking you, but they should?
What's the 10, 20-year outlook in the United States with this type of issue expanding or not?
Okay, give me one more.
How might we need to alter our packaging designs to pay less?
Do they ask you that, or is that something they don't ask?
Most of the time, they don't ask that initially.
Okay. So now how do we alter our packaging? So a little bit more proactive, right?
Right.
Okay, so they're gonna come to you, and they might come with those kinds of questions. Are we impacted this? How much? So I think we need to take action on this, and how do we pay? That's usually where it is. So you're gonna go, okay, we need to do this, this, and this, and you're gonna get caught in the love triangle between you, them, and the information. And the more that we're focused on the information, the less they're understanding where the value of what you're doing is. So you're trying to say, like, and where, if you were able to lead them into the ideal conversation, is it about the outlook, or is it how do we alter the packaging? Where do you really want to get them to have the ideal discussion?
Our ideal discussion is basically for them to understand the context of this issue in the United States, which is sort of, we're out on the front end of it, and things are going to become more serious and more complicated as we go along.
Okay. And if they, yeah, okay, keep going.
And it's, yeah, that's our main ideal point.
Okay, and
this is such a great, I just want to say real fast, this is such a great example that could be applied to so many different professions, because in so many of our worlds, things are going to become more complicated and difficult moving forward. So as you're listening to Joe in this conversation, think about what you do, what your core service is, and what could be becoming more complicated that your client doesn't know about. So, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's good. Now for you, Adrian, why you guys? What makes you unique? Are you the cheapest, most expensive, best value, best looking? What's your skill set?
We are one of the few, if not one of the only, who's been looking at this issue from its outset. from a non-legislative role.
Okay.
So we're basically a law firm and consulting group, not a politician who's been looking at these issues from their inception. So
Okay.
we've got relatively the most expertise to advise these businesses.
And with your offer, just briefly tell me the offer that you want to give them, like the leading, like I said, leading to the offer that you have, what, like, give me just a quick synopsis of that offer and why people will or won't buy it.
Okay, so the offer is basically two parts. There's sort of a overview report at the beginning that we give them, and then there's ongoing tailored support tailored to their specific needs. It depends on how large their company is and what they sell and how they sell it.
And is the report unique to kind of identified issues related to their business and what
Yes.
you're in the service? Okay.
Okay.
So it's
And-
motivational and educational.
And how,
Yes.
okay, yeah, keep going.
Sorry, and just to answer your second part of the question, sometimes what's stood in the way of them or made them reluctant to engage the services is because this is an emerging issue. They don't feel yet maybe the need that they must act now.
Yeah, okay.
Which is so
And-
much, I mean, again, it could be so relatable from a estate planning perspective, a business advisory perspective. So anything. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, we want, we want always ideally clients that are in growth mode, not crisis mode, but that's not always the case. They all of a sudden, oh crap, I should have done this. Now I need you. And we do that. So here's my thinking that to get to your point, leading to the offer. For me, I'm imagining that if you were just to come in and say, hey guys, good news, I've got this awesome service to help you solve this problem that you aren't that concerned about. How would you like to give me $1 million? They go, you know what? I'm good. I don't think so. So I'll give you an example after this, but I think where you want to look at is the questions that you ask. You want to be able to get them, that leading to your offer. If your offer is this report and ongoing support, then I always think, what are the objections that they're going to put resistance against that we need to prime for so they don't have that resistance? We need to create sort of a universal truth or an agreement, some kind of anchor that they can't escape from. So the anchor is, how, do we have the team, the ability, the bandwidth? What's our business going to be? Where do we want to take that business? What's our brand want to look like? You want to get a sense of that vision, that value, where they want to take things and how they want to move things forward. So I want to know who's on their team. How do they build this stuff? So when I'd be asking questions, I'd want to know, what are they doing to prepare for the future? Is that something that's on their radar? What are the other projects? Maybe look at the interconnected things that you're doing with this stuff that, if they run into these challenges, what's going to bring them back. So I'd be talking more about their like 5-year goals with their business, their strategy, where they want to take their offer, what their sales goals are, their marketing, where they want to take stuff, and then ask them questions along the lines of, what happens if things go sideways? What happens here? How are you prepared for that? Who has to deal with that? When you go back to like the spin selling, the part of it is the situation questions are just, let me know your business. Problem is, why is that a problem? Implication is the cause and effect question. So things like bottlenecks, who's affected, time, costs, how many hassles that is. So the more you understand cause and effect, the more weight you put on the discussion, the less weight they put on, well, how much your offer is going to cost, right? So that's really where we want to look at is it's going to be the questions that you ask, leading them to, well, you know what? It sounds like your business needs to do these things. If this happens and this happens, this is where that's going to go. Do we agree? Yeah. And if we don't, if these things happen, that's really going to cause some challenges, which is why we have this thing. And for you, if you have this report that you do and ongoing support, maybe the report is sort of the light bulb that we shine to see if we need to go further. And that makes them go, you know what? We weren't thinking about that, but that might give us a lens that we can work from, whether we work forward or not with you. But make sure that there's an agreement that they have on where they want to take their business before you try and solve a problem they didn't think they had.
What I've done related to this, as it relates to the succession matrix, is I've gone through and thought about what is the core service, or what is the reality or the new reality we want to take our client to, or what is it that, Adrian, to the point of the type of questions they're not asking. Going through the matrix and using that as a roadmap to say, like in the middle, this is our core value add. how in each area, these 10 areas will both be impacted if this is not addressed? How could your value add in terms of the regulations impact business performance? And how is that then going to impact their 3 to 5 year goal? How is it going to be, how is strategic planning and their strategic goals and what they're wanting to get done be impacted, the ability to achieve those by these additional regulations? So going through each area of the matrix and really thinking through what are some educational, motivational questions I can ask, because that's, again, from a, as I interact with business owners, the main thing that I hear them complain about is that their advisors, their strategic partners are not ahead of them enough, are not proactive enough in educating them enough about what could happen, what is emerging, what they need to be aware of. They're too reactive. And so if you can create questions around advising them, and questions are so powerful because you're not speaking to someone, it's framed in a way of education and you're help guiding them. And so that also creates more comfortability to then lean on you and for you to be their advisor.
Yeah. I'll give you an example. This is the story always helps people understand. There's a company called Dentsply. They do like dental supply equipment and they sell drills. Everybody's been to the dentist before. You get a drill, right? In your mouth. So this company built what they did is a cordless drill. And so they were excited. All the salespeople were excited. They want to go out and sell this drill. And they went out. And what do you think all of the dentists said to them when they brought that to their attention? This thing's the coolest thing ever. You're going to do this. It does all these great things. And what do you think the dentist said? They said, you know what? That's great. I'm glad you have that. What we have is good enough. Or check back with us in 6 months, right? Those are the two things you're always going to hear. So that's what they said. So the salespeople went crying back to the business. Oh, this sucks. These drills suck. We got to add more features. We got to discount it. And the two things that'll kill puppies is discounting and chasing, just so you guys know. We got to discount. We got to make it cheaper. It's not good. They don't want it. And they went back and said, you know, what's the problem? Why won't they want to buy this? Because they don't, just like you're saying, Adrian, they don't feel like this is even important to them. So they went and said, well, what really happens? And I'll ask you guys this. I want to see some answers. What is the most important part of a dental office? What makes that thing work? There's one part that is the source of throughput for that company. Put it in the chat. I'll give you two minutes to do it. Maybe 30 seconds. The dentist, okay. Keep going. Somebody will get it.
Give us at least two more.
Whoever wins, Kendall's buying a steak dinner for, she said.
Oh, wow. If you're not in the US, it may just be some Slim Jim.
Yeah. All right. Only Katie has a guess. Somebody else give me a guess and then I'll tell you. The customer? Katie gets, you know what? Katie twice. I like it.
I know.
I will tell you one more guess. Somebody give me one guess.
Katie may be getting some beef jerky.
I love steak.
I love
Okay.
steak.
The answer is the hygienist. The most important part to a dental office is the hygienist because they're the highly skilled employee that does the bulk of the work. If a hygienist goes down, that business doesn't work. You can hire another admin person. It's not long to onboard and train. And the dentist kind of shows up and say, yeah, those are teeth, and takes off, right? So you have this hygienist that if something happens, they don't work. So this company, Dentsply, said, well, you know what? What if we did, I got another book for you guys. This one here. The Ultimate Sales Machine, Chet Holmes. It's an older one, but this Dentsply said, okay, what if we did some research on how to keep your dental hygienist happy, healthy, increase longevity, and decrease the instances of workers' comp? So they put a whole report together, a study, and they went around to dentists and they said, hey, you know what? We have just put together a study on how to make sure that you have solid, long-term, high-performing dental hygienists, how to keep them happy, healthy, sane, and so you don't lose them and your business doesn't suffer. What do you think the dentist said then? Yeah, come on in and talk to us. And so this is part of this, the Ultimate Sales Machine is rather than saying, hey, can I talk to you about our product? You say, hey, we're educating people in our market. We're educating our customers. I'd love to do maybe a lunch and learn, bring whoever you want into the meeting. We're going to show you some stuff that we're seeing in the market, best practice, blah, blah, blah. So they went in and said, hey guys, we are looking at dental hygienists. There's stuff you could do here. Here's some, health benefits, plans, all this stuff. And they said, and also what we found in all of our research is hygienists have the highest incidence of carpal tunnel. And the number one reason is when they're using tools and that cord goes across their wrist, it increases the likelihood of them having wrist issues. And the dentists go, I had no idea. They said, and good news, we've got this drill, doesn't have any cords. They said, cool, give me 2. because now we led them to where we need to be. And that's the change in what you guys think about. As you're going out talking to your customers, if you just go, hey, here's something I think you should look at. If they don't understand why or where it's coming from, if you lead from over here and you have that discussion, now you're in a place to say, they go, I wasn't even thinking about a business like that. If you get them to think differently about themselves, they will think differently about you. And that's the purpose of this stuff. Not about how to build the coolest offer, the best email, great marketing campaign, is really understanding your customer in a way that they weren't thinking. You guys
And to
with us on that?
differentiate yourself in the market means doing something different than what your competitors are doing. So
Yeah.
from a legal tax perspective or wealth management, many of them are going out and just talking about legal things or talking about tax things or talking about audit things. How can you relate what you're doing, what your core service is, to what they ultimately care about, the business owner? They care about their 5, 10, 15-year goals. They care about how you can give them some information that's going to create more of a clear path forward to address these things and or to be strategic about it, so these issues don't become deep problems.
Yeah. Now I'm going to jump on. So here, we're not going to dive into this right now. We're going to send you guys all these slides. We've got a bunch of stuff that we can share with this. This is about growth strategy in your business. It's called the extended Ansoff matrix. Whether you have new products, existing products, new customers, existing customers, how you want to go into market. There's a bunch of stuff on there. I think where we're at with the conversation here, though, is to go to more like this.
What we can do is another webinar based solely on this growth strategy. And as I mentioned in the chat, we had a plan for you guys, but this is your time. And based upon some of the chats we're seeing, I think just pivoting a little bit and honing in on some of those goals, this is better direction.
Let us know if you want more details. This is what I would say if you're looking at say some new customers or just outreach. If you've got this idea, make a list of some customers, 10, 5, 10, whatever, that people that you already know, warm leads, people that you've already talked to. You've got an idea you want to share with them. Create an initial email outreach. And also provide immediate value. I think the biggest challenge we see, we've got a lot of members, I've got a lot of clients, we do this, is they lead with that product. Hey, guess what? We're doing this, and we like beat them over the head with features and benefits. If you say, hey, in your market, in your industry, we're seeing this is what's going on, this is what's happening, and if we don't address this is why. So Adrian, you might want to put together something that talks about the complexity and the challenges people are facing. A part of it is what you guys do, but the interconnected piece of what's happening in this industry and what happens if we don't address it. Then we're going to say, hey, the next step is let's have a discussion about this. I don't know if I need to sell you anything, but the next step is let's have a discussion, a strategy session, an insight session. We have a way of evaluating this stuff. And at the very least, you're going to come away with some ideas you can apply whether we work together or not. That's all we want to do, is just get some time to have this discussion. If they think that you're just coming in to pitch an offer, they're going to pre-assume, I don't know if I need that, not right now. Just send me some stuff. If you're running into that, then you're not adding value that's helping them whether they hire you or not. Then we're going to, test it on the first few, track the results, repeat it. I always say, like, just everything that you do should be an experiment. Try some stuff, say some stuff. If they stare at you blankly, try something else, right? But if they go, interesting, could we talk about that? That's where the sweet spot is, right? When I'm selling, I always want people to go, well, do you think I could buy that from you? I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. That's where you want them to get to, right? Then we look at, remove any attachment to any of the results, just get to work. I would just do some outreach, even as you're thinking about potentially creating a new offer, something in the market. I have an idea that I think maybe we should do this. Before you write anything down, call some people. Hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Do you think that's cool? What if I built this, if I did something on these 3 areas, would you do it? Maybe I'm going to do a webinar, a workshop. Would you want to check that out? And I go, well, yeah, can I buy that thing? Cool. Now you're on track. But a lot of times we sit in our little bubble, we create all this stuff. It's perfect. We send it out. They go, I don't like it. So test and test and test before you send it out. I'll give you some more stuff on this. Outreach emails, how to send emails. We'll build that. What's the next one? Before you create the offer, we want to look at what are their roles? What do they solve? Right? What are ways they're currently solving it? So Adrian, for your business specifically, and if everyone wants to add more specifics to it, let me know. But what are they currently doing to address this? If they're addressing it at all. Then of course, what's it worth to solve it? If we can't put a business case around what they're doing, then they're not going to really pay any attention to it. So if you look at their business, go, okay, what's something that we can uniquely solve. And your offer of the packaging and the compliance, you might look at that more as not just that specific, but your solution is probably more the evaluation, the consultation around that area of their business. If you can sort of expand what that assessment looks like, there's much more value in the discussion with you versus I solve this problem. Does that make sense?
As I work with advisors, what I find is the marketing mind, it's not a natural thing, meaning that professional service providers of all kinds, your expertise is solving the problem that you're wanting, solving the problem of the business owner, whether it's packaging compliance or, again, legal work or whatever. Your expertise is not in marketing. And so oftentimes looking at this this bullet point, and then even the one before about emails, I have a marketing mind, but getting into the clickbait or how are they going to open this stuff, it can make you feel insane. And there are incredible AI tools out there now. Thank God for AI and the advancement of technology that can very much take your expertise very easily and package it in a way that a business owner can consume, in the sense of what's sort of real, like a case story. What could take 5 days for a professional to create a case story, because really your expertise is in, as an attorney or CPA, can now take you 3 to 4 hours, and as you get quicker with it, 1 hour. So there's so many tools out there now that can help you with this, so you can focus on what you do well versus getting tied up in the marketing mumbo jumbo.
Yeah. I'm going to skip this one here. When you're looking at this stuff again, you want to show contrast, change in reality, before and after, gain in magnitude, quantifying the value. That's what we're always looking at, so they can see the weight of it. This one is actually, this is from Insight Selling. Your offer has to have these 3 things. And I always think about this as I'm even creating an email, creating an offer, having a sales discussion, just anything. It has to do these 3 things: resonate, differentiate, substantiate. It has to make them go, hey, that's interesting. It doesn't have to make them crazy excited. It just has to go, yeah, you know what, that applies. That makes sense. That's interesting. That's exciting. That's something that we should pay attention to. It then has to differentiate. Why you uniquely? If I can look at somebody else, maybe I will. And it has to be able to substantiate, which means I think I can do this, right? And so if we have all those 3, we're in a good position to be able to create an offer that makes them want to take action. If one of those are missing, this is what happens. If it doesn't resonate, they're going to go, I can see why you guys are different, and I think this is doable, but right now it's not a priority. And that's kind of where you're at, Adrian, right? Yeah. And so if it doesn't do the second one, they go, man, this is really cool. This is something we need to take action on, and I definitely think we can do it. I'm going to look around and see what my options are, right? I don't see why I'm going to see who else wants to give me this. If it doesn't do the last one, they're going to say, this is awesome. This is what I need to do. I totally see why you can do it. But right now, I just don't know if we're in a position to do that. I don't think that's something that we could tackle. You have to make them see that this is important, that I'm the one that can help you do it, and we're going to be able to do this, that I believe this is possible. So we talk a lot about selling in phases. So Adrian, that's where you might want to look at how you're positioning your offer in a series of phases. In phase 1, this is what we do. We're changing this reality, go from here to here so that we can do this. In phase 2, if we nail this, now we're going to be able to do this. This is the problem we really want to get to. This problem's stupid. We just need to get through that so we can do this. So your ongoing service, if it's mapped out in those phases, they start to see this new reality. Where do we get to? And that's where you probably want to bring in case studies, stories, other people that are further ahead, but not so far ahead that it's not believable. Right. So if you have an example of somebody that was like them, but now is a multi-billion-dollar business, they're like, I'm just trying to sell ice cream cones. It's too far. Right. But if you say, hey, the person that we worked with was here, now they're here. That's where I want you to be so we can get to this. This isn't achievable without this. Right. Cool.
Yeah. And what I would say is a great tool that I use oftentimes as a marketing collaborator and brainstorm is ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Taking what you think your value proposition is, if you have it on your website or you just type it up and put in ChatGPT and say, does this value proposition effectively resonate with this target market? And it'll tell you, no, it doesn't. Now provide me some suggestions. And you can really use it interactively. And Joe likes to just talk really direct. Like he has some anger issues.
Yeah, 100%. I can't keep an assistant. I will bully ChatGPT all day.
So you can also use it and get some regression on it if need be.
Yeah.
Joe, so we only have a few more minutes, so it was
Yeah.
suggested that
I
we begin
want
to
to throw,
wrap
I want to
up.
just throw this, the ChatGPT thing. Adrian, what you could do with ChatGPT is you could say, what are all of the interconnected issues that a company like this is dealing with as it pertains to packaging, compliance, this? How are the things that what are some things they might not be exploring? What are some things they might not see, some blind spots, some hidden opportunities, that kind of stuff? ChatGPT will show you a bunch of things, and then you start to build from there.
Thank you.
You bet, man. The last one I'm going to share, and then we're going to go to the last thing, is I would say same thing is this is what we're talking about, is think about, like, especially if you have an offer that is a report and then service on top of it, show them that there's 3 ways to do this. You know, where we want to be is, say, like typical cost. Let's say, for example, the middle range package is 30,000. We're going to do a report. We're going to do ongoing service. It's a 6-month package. This is what it looks like. This is where I want you to be. And I want my maybe 60, 70% of all my clients to live there, right? But I also have, if we don't go there, hey, you know what? Why don't we just do this? Why don't we do the report, see what happens from there? That's a $5,000, $10,000 offer, whatever that is. And we want maybe 20, 30% of our clients to live there because we know we can upgrade, we can phase them up. And then we want to have one that's a little bit uncomfortable. We say, you know, let's go crazy. Why don't we do this? For the next 2 years, I'm going to charge $1 million. We can do this. And you know what? This is where our best clients live. Have something that is kind of helps you price anchor to make number 2 and 1. Not that, you know, it doesn't seem that heavy, right? So you do that, but maybe you get 5 to 10% of your clients say, yeah, let's go for it. Right. But if you think about it in phases and you tell that and you show examples, if you have the proof to back it up, now you're getting your customer again to think, should I buy? Not should I buy from you, but how should I buy from you? Right. And we'll send out these slides because we just did all this stuff we didn't dive into today on outreach, strategic partners. We can do more stuff, whatever you guys need.
Yep.
Questions
Absolutely.
right now?
I just put a link in the chat to the ISPA's website. I know that we kind of pivoted a little bit in this webinar, and if there's different things that you had wished we had gone deeper in, or you saw a slide and you're like, oh, I wish we were going to talk about that, and or if you have any questions or ideas, or you want us to talk about anything more specific, we do a monthly webinar really focused on how go-to-market strategies, how to reposition your offer, how to anything around marketing, business development, and advisory. And these are generally smaller groups, so we can make it as interactive as possible, and we can really answer your specific questions. So to get on that list, go to the ISPA website and just join our mailing list. And as I mentioned, we're in the message. We're sending out essentially 2 emails a month. We don't want to spam you. We want to add value. So.
And our focus is, if you have a specific business challenge or you want to think about your market in a unique way, reach out to us. Happy to look at what you're trying to do and see if, you know, offer makes sense, messaging makes sense, you know, the network that you're trying to build, you know, however you can do that. We're always happy to throw stuff your way.